Evening, everybody. We're going to get started with our annual World AIDS Day Candlelight Vigil. Would you guys do me a favor? Because the speaker and the sound's only going to carry so much. Could you guys scooch in a little bit? I feel like, we're not among friends right now. And it's definitely an evening.
That's good. That's good.
It's definitely for an evening for friends. It's always the media, right? No, anyways. I'm Don Blanchon. I'm the Executive Director of Whitman-Walker Health, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here tonight for our annual vigil. A really special World AIDS Day for us, and so I want to share some of those. We've got a couple of housekeeping things I want to make sure that everybody's aware of. You guys have lit objects, many of you, in your hand, and this is really important. Make sure you take care of yourself, that you're watching the cup and the flame so that, one, you don't get burnt either by the wax or the flame. And then at the end, after our program, you'll see a bunch of orange containers around, and we typically recycle all the stuff, so let's make sure we get the candles in the orange bins. So I appreciate that. The Honorable Vince Gray, the Mayor of the District of Columbia, is on his way here. And so I know that he's in transit, he's not that far away, and so we're going to have him say some words when he gets here. So I just wanted to let you know that we're awaiting his arrival. This is where I need at least 2 sets of hands. Seriously. Thank you, David. So, a few words about tonight. Since we've last gathered here, we've seen and heard stories of the epidemic's past, mixed with hopeful news about new treatment and new prevention methods. And we've heard hopeful words from our nation's leaders that they are committed to bringing this great human tragedy to an end. However, nothing can and will ever erase the tremendous pain and suffering that HIV/AIDS has caused in the last 3 decades. There is very few among us that does not know someone who is courageously living with HIV and fighting every day, and there are very few among us that do not know at least one, if not more, family members, friends, colleagues who have lost their life to HIV. There are many who have been in this fight for years with us. There are so many names and faces of loved ones who are now gone. And every day that we're in this battle, we need to remember their face, their touch, their smile, their sense of humor, and how they affected our lives. Tonight is a time for all of us to remember those people who are so dear to us who are not here, to share with the promise and the hope of the future. It is also a time to remember the millions of people around the globe who are currently living with HIV. I'd just like to take a minute to bow our heads for a moment of silence. So from the darkness comes light, and you are part of that tonight here at the Vigil. It is a great time for us here in this country and across the world to look to a future when no one will ever have to suffer from HIV and the death and dying that we've seen so many years ago. It is a day where there is tremendous hope and optimism that one day soon we will talk about HIV in the past tense, that we ultimately could and will end the HIV epidemic on this planet. We have the tools, we have the techniques, we have science, we have love, we have friendship, we have health, we have funding. We lack one thing: a sustained voice to generate the will to do what we have to do. So until that day when we can talk about HIV exclusively in the past, we have a lot to do. We must get people tested and into treatment if they're newly diagnosed. We talk about this all the time at Whitman-Walker Health. You see it throughout the city. The city's been a great leader in trying to expand testing in so many different venues, whether they be health-related, non-health-related, the DMV, our great folks in our mobile van in front of metro stations and Safeways across the area. The whole idea is for people to know their status. And to know their status, you got to take the leap and you've got to get tested. And you need to do that once a year. And so if you did anything this holiday season as a gift to yourself, get tested and know your status this month. Okay. So we have a lot of work to do with families and friends, and we talk about this regularly at Whitman-Walker Health, where we really need to think about, it's not just about us all the time. What are we doing to get our families and friends and our colleagues into care? What are we doing to help them stay in care if they're HIV positive? What are we doing to help them, encourage them to take the test on a regular basis? And so we share this all the time in any gathering we have. We'd ask you to be ambassadors for us, ambassadors for community. This is a great way to honor and respect and love the people who are no longer here by helping us in the future. Help somebody get tested. Take a friend to get tested at Whitman-Walker Health or any of the other sites in the community. It's a simple thing you can do. In the districts, it's free on so many different settings, and you will be amazed at how much you can help in the fight against HIV. So this year's a pretty special year for us to recognize two people who are no longer with us but are a big part of both Whitman-Walker's extended family and obviously the metropolitan DC LGBT community. So first, the most famous, if you would, of celebrity activists way before her time is Elizabeth Taylor. And we would be remiss if we did not recognize that she is one of the first. She is the pioneer who put her star power behind this fight before anybody really would step out and take this issue on. And yes, we have a health center named the Elizabeth Taylor Medical Center, and yes, it's really important to us. But for all of you who aren't old enough to know about the early days of HIV, but know a lot about celebrity advocating right now and advocacy, Liz Taylor is the one who cut the path. And so when you look at all the different things that go on right now around celebrity advocacy, particularly for HIV, it's Liz Taylor who set the standard. And it's Liz Taylor today who we look to, who sent us with a whole bunch of guiding messages about hope and what one individual can do in the fight. So I want to recognize Liz Taylor. Closer to home, the second person who's really important to our extended family and the community at large is Frank Kemeny. And many know Frank for an amazing march as an individual to fight for equality for the LGBT community. And I've had the fortune of having 3 or 4 opportunities in my time at Whitman-Walker to spend time with Frank. And I continue to come back to the one amazing thing about Frank, which was he was a person who said and did what all of us could do, which is one person can make a difference. His actions, what he did every day, there are many of us here tonight and many of us who live in this area who are so much better off and have access to equality and social justice. And Frank's the father of that. He is the one who pushed and pushed and pushed. And so I want to recognize Frank for everything he did. We will miss both Liz Taylor, we will miss Frank Kemeny, but you are all here to help carry their work on. So a little bit about where we are at Whitman-Walker Health in this day and age in the fight against HIV. Right now we care for about 3,000 individuals, either in direct medical care or other supportive services in our 2 centers, one over at 14th and R, and our other center over in Anacostia on Martin Luther King Avenue. We have people who come from all over the areas, who represent the diversity that's so great about this community and this city, who have financial means, who have no means, who are black, brown, or white, who are gay or straight. We don't care. At our organization, at our place, you are human first, and if you're fighting this fight, if you're confronted by a new diagnosis, our door is open. We want you to come in, we want you to get taken care of, and we want to do that in an affirming and compassionate way. We at Whitman-Walker are fed every day by patients and persons in this fight, and we are fed every day by watching individuals battle HIV in some of the most courageous and compassionate ways. And a bunch of our patients are here tonight. And I just want to recognize that we don't get to say thank you enough to them, so I want to say thank you. There's a whole bunch of them around here, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay. So this is one of the traditions we have with our annual Candlelight Vigil that I love, which is we actually have a non-talking head come up and share some really important things about what it means to fight HIV. And I'm really pleased tonight to introduce one of our extended family members, Michael T. Jones. Come on up, Michael.